Hello there. This is William with another episode. Okay, that's a little cheesy. Anyway, hey guys. So here I'm able to speak with the Soul Assassin, Kevin Ross, another professional Muay Thai fighter. Wow, awesome experience to be able to do this. I'm happy that I got to speak to this man, and I'm really appreciative that he shared his time with me. We talked a lot about mental health. Um, I got in his brain a little bit with his perspective on a variety of things, and yeah, you'll hear me stumble on a lot of my questions because my brain likes to do what it does. So apologies for that. I am who I am, guys. I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't in the, why would I say I am? Okay. Anyway, I would love for you guys to check out Joe Rogan's episode if you enjoyed this episode, or if you would like to listen to Joe Rogan's first. Doesn't matter. Go listen to Joe Rogan's episode with Kevin Ross, of course, because what we talked about here doesn't do it justice to what they talked about. Joe Rogan is of course, he's a master of this podcasting game. He's the godfather or whatever. He is who he is, and I am who I am, of course. So you're gonna have a different experience. Yeah, of course, is the Joe Rogan experience in comparison to this William knows nothing shit. So anyway, I'm not gonna disrespect my show like that. Okay, don't you dare do that, William. Okay, fine. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking to myself. Without further ado, I bring to you the Soul Assassin, Kevin Ross. Catch him, Derry. Oh. Alright, so you just got done training, and what do you call it? You were telling me earlier that I don't know if you want to talk about this, but you said your fight got canceled. I don't know if that's like a
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it was never set. I thought.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not like I had a signed fight or nothing, but I they had the date and the location and all that, so I've been training for it all year. The last 2 months, I've been killing it, and then yeah, I just found out 2 days ago the whole card's off. They had to push it back. They're running out of time, and I don't think they had a few things locked down, and I'm sure the everyone's freaking out right now with the coronavirus and stuff played into it because it was going to be in Amsterdam, so I'm sure that played a part. But I'm not sure. I actually haven't even spoken to him about like why. I just know that it's off.
Right. Do you think that's like a legit thing going on, or you think that's just all like it's
I
just
think
bullshit?
that I think both. I think like a lot of things, there is of course some relevance to it, but the media and everybody freaking everybody out about it makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And it makes it to where you don't know who to believe or what's really going on, and that's kind of the issue. I think often with a lot of stuff, not just um, things like this, but politics and everything else. They blow everything out of proportion to where you don't know what's real and what's not. It's like, but yeah, man, it makes it. I mean, that's such a big issue because you got you freak people out every time. Every time there's some new thing, and then eventually it's like people don't want to listen when they should listen, but because you don't know, it's like all this misinformation, and so it takes away from the people that who do need help and are in bad situations, and just turns everyone into a panic. And then you got these idiots that think it's like a Chinese disease, and then they're like, all these like hate crimes are going on because of it, and like,
Yeah.
because people are stupid.
Yeah,
People are
man. I
stupid.
I don't know if this has anything to do with it. I just saw a video posted for. I don't get on Facebook or social media that much. I try not to. I've been
Smart.
on this whole like kick of staying away from social media.
Mm.
But and besides this promoting this stuff or whatever. But
Yeah.
someone posted something about an Asian woman getting attacked by a mob on the subway in Philly,
Mm.
and it was just like, what the fuck, man? It was it didn't give any background to what happened,
Yeah.
but my brain just went straight to, I hope they didn't just like randomly pick a fight because they're probably making fun of her or something, and she probably says something back. You know what I mean? Because like you just
Mm.
said, this hate crime going on. I don't know if you're referring to that, like in terms of
Yeah, no, but no, I did. I saw another thing where they were like beating down this dude because he was Chinese, or they thought he was Chinese or something. Like he automatically has the virus or something.
Jesus Christ.
And people, it's just ignorance. And then, you add fear and ignorance and put those things together, and you got a lot of idiots. But it's the same. I mean, they do the same thing with like politics and stuff, and they got everybody, turned against each other, fighting each other, and they don't even know what they're fighting. When like really we're all probably on the same page, and like we should be fighting out the people that are making us afraid.
Yeah, I had a conversation about my wife about that shit because this is the reason why I've been trying to do this podcast, is to try to raise awareness on things that you are doing in terms
Mm.
of mental health and just being on social media too much, being on your phones too much, just all the shit's going on, man. It's just like no one's talking. Well, people are talking about this, but I feel like I want to be a part of this. This raising awareness thing because I was a
Mhm.
part of it. I was the problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this was like 2-3 years ago when my daughter, just told me, "Hey, Dad, you're on your phone too much."
Mm.
So I,
Yeah.
whatever. But going back to this, we just talk. Are you political in any way? Like, do you follow politics?
No,
I
no,
don't.
I hate it. I hate it. I hate it all,
Yeah, just
man.
letting you know, I am completely like I know you as uh from the Joe Rogan podcast, of course.
Mm.
And I heard of you as a Muay Thai fighter. I followed you a while ago. I didn't realize that you were on the Joe Rogan podcast as Kevin Ross. I followed your account, your Instagram
Oh
account.
yeah,
So I
that's
didn't
funny.
know who you were until it was mentioned on the show. I was like, oh, that's this guy.
That's funny, man.
Because I just started Muay Thai 2 years ago. So
Okay.
yeah, and I'm getting to know everything, and like this, I'm
Mm.
catching up with everybody. Like this is crazy
Yeah.
how you have been doing this for I don't know how long, but
17 years.
17 years. Shit, man. I
Yeah.
got a training partner of mine, Matt. Shout out to Matt. He like when I told him about you that I have a chance to talk to you, he was like, "Oh my god!" He's like freaking out, asking. He wanted to ask all these questions, these fighting questions. I'm like, I'll ask if I get the chance, but
Yeah.
my main focus is to just have a conversation with him. You know what I mean? With
Uh,
you, but I lost my train of thought. Sorry. We were
you
talking.
get me?
Yeah, we were talking about
We're we're
politics.
talking about politics, and we were
Yeah,
talking about fights before that.
yeah. So you say you're not that much of a political dude.
No, man, I'm not political at all. To me, it's just another way for us to separate ourselves from each other and to get on these teams that
Mm,
doesn't benefit anybody.
right.
It's kind of like the left and the right are both equally fucked because you're forced into the extreme side of each, where most people are somewhere in the middle. But you have to align yourself with one or the other, and if you're on one, you can't be for the other, and that just it's like putting labels on people. Labels separate us. They don't bring us together.
Yeah.
Like we're all just human beings. We're all part of the same race, and the more we put these walls up and put these labels on people, it keeps us from ever coming together.
Yeah, I hear that,
and
dude.
and I feel like the majority of it is just there to keep us distracted, to keep us fighting against each other, to keep us fighting against the wrong thing. We're pointed at each other when we should be pointing at the problems.
Right. I agree with that. The labeling things, the
Yeah,
so as I've been on a kick with that too. I've been meditating on and just thinking about all this shit that you're talking about, like labels. I
yeah,
left wing liberal or whatever, so these social justice warriors, or being called a snowflake or whatever, all these different things that the left side is calling the right and the right side is
Mm.
calling the left. The left is calling the right bigots and fascists and racists, and then the right side is calling them all the other things I just said. So
Mm.
it's like you just said, it's just funny how we have these words, these patterns that we create just to insult each other instead of like trying to come to an understanding to communicate with one another. So just
Yeah.
so we can figure shit out, man. Uh,
Yeah, the thing is, it makes it to where you can dehumanize people, and you treat them like the label you put on them, and they're not a human being anymore.
yeah,
They're right wing, they're left wing, they're white, they're black, they're Asian, they're from another country, and the farther you separate yourself from somebody, the easier it is to not think about them as a human being and
right,
allow horrible things to happen to them. You don't like for us over here in the States, it's easy not to think about like the places we're bombing as human beings. Like there's human beings over there, and there's innocent human beings over there. But you lump everybody into the same like terrorists or whatever your stupid idea is. You can rationalize killing innocent people,
right,
and that's the problem like with everything, is you stop viewing them as human beings, and they're just pieces of meat. They're numbers. They're whatever. And yeah, we can just stay distracted.
yeah. It's I forget what philosopher said this, but basically, like our perception sucks. Like our perspective is like horrible. So a lot of us think we know shit, and we really
Yeah,
don't.
we
We
don't
don't
know
know.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I named this show after Socrates.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, and Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. I don't know if you watched that show.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, of course.
yeah. But yeah, we get this. I used to be that way. I used to think I had to follow politics when I was younger. I got to be like everyone else. Everyone's talking about it, and you get
Yeah,
caught up in the bullshit. Pretty much, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, and you're just okay. I agree with my friends. I mean, I guess they're right. It makes sense. I want to be a
yeah,
nice person, and you become this. You set yourself right here. This is where I'm at, and then you fall into this echo chamber,
yeah,
and then you just want to confirm your bias, all your biases.
yeah,
Like you want to go to everyone who you agree with, and you don't want to have a conversation with someone who has different beliefs. Then you start to hate that person or dislike them.
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah,
Like
yeah. It's horrible.
yeah, like when I found out one of my sister, she voted. When I found out she voted for Donald Trump, I was like, what the fuck? At that time, I was just like,
Mm.
I thought she was a logical person, and I kind of like, I got like, I felt some type of way. It was weird, and it was just like,
Mhm.
this is a problem with me that I'm feeling that way against my sister, and I love her. This doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense. Now it's a running joke. I put the hat on and everything. I posted on social media, and some people didn't get the joke, but
it's funny.
yeah,
Yeah, man. It's kind of the thing where we we either ignore or rationalize the negative parts of our beliefs, but we emphasize them on everybody else, like how wrong they are, but we don't view the right pieces of their beliefs. It's easy to paint everybody with that brush without being aware of like how you look to them. Like everybody's beliefs look crazy to somebody else. You think yours are rational because what? Because a bunch of people around you think the same way. It's not any crazier than anybody else's. And I think the more we can understand that, like we're all just guessing and trying to align ourselves with the closest we can, but there has to be a back and the forth. Like the left ain't right and the right ain't right. In the middle is right, because there's a
yeah,
little bit there's a little bit of truth to both. There's the real quality stuff is everything in the middle. It's the mixture of everybody's beliefs. It's the mixture of everybody's races, or not even. I don't even say the mixture of it, but it's the whole rainbow of everything. It's not black. It's not white. It's every color in between, every belief in between. Like everybody has a little bit of something that somebody else doesn't have. Everybody's culture, everybody's tastes, everybody's whatever. Everybody's got a little bit of something somebody else is missing. And the more variety of people you can have around you, the more you can grow and develop as a human being and figure out what it is you even do believe. If you're surrounded by people that believe the same things as you, you never even question what it is you think and how you feel. You become robotic.
Yeah.
And like that's the worst thing you could ever do.
Right. Do you see yourself? Because I know you're trying to do your own thing with your art and all that, and I don't know if you're gonna focus on the mental health aspect. Because sorry, I have all these questions in my head now. Because
How you good, man?
when I heard you speak about the certain things you went through,
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to. I haven't really talked about it yet on this podcast on my own, but I
Yeah.
went through similar things that you've been through, and I was like, dude, I was like, why haven't I just put it out there yet? I mean, I have. It's
Yeah.
just, it's not like it's affected me now because I've learned to appreciate my life now and where I'm at, and have gratitude every morning, and do everything that I've been doing, but it's like I still feel like I have to put it out there at least, just like you did.
Yeah.
You reached, of course, you reached the masses, of course, and you have a large audience, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm just this small guy trying to do the same thing,
Yeah.
but in terms of being molested as a boy, and I got molested different ways. I got molested by two other boys.
Mm.
And at one point it confused me because I thought I was gay at one point. I don't know,
Yeah.
it confused me. And when I was 9, I got molested by my babysitter, uh, and that I wasn't sure how that affected me, and
Yeah.
it's still to this day. I'm like, I still try to go back through all my time, like going through my mental health issues in terms of what do you call it, just insecurities. Wanted to kill myself a bunch of times. Uh, what do you call it? Low self esteem, all this shit. I was like wondering if that mattered at that point. Like, is that the reason why I was going through that? But today,
Yeah.
nothing, all that shit that happened in my past, it doesn't even matter. It's just what matters is what's going on today and what we can do about it. You know what I mean? What we can do to help
Yeah.
other people who are thinking that there's something going on. You know what I mean? I don't know if you agree with
Yeah.
that. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure, man. I think the one of the biggest pieces of all of it is the isolation you feel and the seclusion and um, like it's not happening to other people. Like
mm,
nobody can understand. I mean that's why it was so detrimental to me. I mean just the fact of it alone is bad enough, but then those feelings after the fact makes it so much worse. Like what are you supposed to do with this? Like you can't even rationalize it. You have nobody to talk to about it. You don't, especially if you're that young. Like how do you even deal with something like that? Most people just like block it out or start going down one road or the other and never are able to even like communicate it in a healthy way. For myself, I just basically blocked it out to a big degree. I never spoke about it. A couple people I did talk to about it, but I talked about it in a very kind of factual way, like this happened to me, and that sucks, but not in an emotional way, like how it affected me, like how it made me feel, and um, you know, even just recently, I'm starting to understand like the damage that it did and the negative habits that it created in me, and the own um, just ways that I dealt with it. And I thought I was keeping myself safe, but I was really like putting up walls or just damaging myself mentally and physically, and didn't really understand the true extent of it till very, very recently.
mm,
And then that was one thing I think, like finally being able to speak about it really kind of opened up this door of that I was keeping like pinned shut, and that just like ripped it right open. Be like that, there it is, like open that wound up, so in so many ways it was very a positive thing, you know, and it did a lot of good, but it also made me relive all that again too. And then, you know, with the hundreds of people that have been contacting me about it, you know, and all the stuff they went through, it's like fucking brutal, man. It's like, geez, like on one hand, yeah, like I realized how not alone I was, and like so many people are going through this, but at the same time, like recognizing how bad it is out there, like how many people have gone through this is heartbreaking. It's horrible. It's
Yeah.
horrible. And yeah, the fact that it is something that you don't think is prevalent, and it's beyond, like I think everybody has been through something they can relate to, even if it's not the same thing, or they certainly know somebody that's gone through something like this. And you know, it's a lot more prevalent than we think, which is horrible. But I think you know, a big motivator for me was the fact that nobody talks about this allows it to continue and go around behind the shadows, because the people don't think about it. People aren't aware of it. You know, it's kind of the same thing with you know, like all the sexual harassment stuff. Like that shit was going on because nobody talked about it. You know, people didn't think that was real, or like those girls were like making this shit up. And the more it's been exposed, the more people are kind of on their toes now. Like, you know, I can't get away with this. You know, like I can't joke around about this anymore. You know, it's a serious thing. You know, so for me, that was an enormous motivator, because it's not talked about, and it's certainly not talked about by anyone in the public eye. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and then again, that's why I think so many of us that have gone through it feel so alone, because like, who do you know that's gone through this? Probably a lot of people, but you wouldn't know that.
Right.
You know, so yeah, that was that was my motivation for that.
Um, do you I have two questions at once. I love my brain. My brain likes to
Good. It's
come.
important. It's important to love your brain.
I really do. I'm not being
Good.
sarcastic. It's just hilarious that my brain is like a twister of questions now. Because I have one side telling me, reminding me about my wife when she told me about her past. She went through something I think is far worse than me. You know, she went
Yeah.
through. I don't want to put her business out there, but she just went through
Yeah. Yeah.
shit worse than me. And I said, it just gave me perspective. And I said, fuck, man. Um, I said, we're all fucked up, like in our own way. Like we all struggle in our own fucking way. And I was just like, she's chilling the way she is. She's like my she's the person that checks me basically. Like I'll come
Mm.
up with these crazy ideas like simulation theories, and I'll do I'll have my ideas, and then she grounds me.
Yeah.
And I love her for that, because she reminds me about reality.
Mm.
So it's like, yeah, you're right. This is life. That's right. I forget. But
Yeah. Yeah.
just the fact that she went through so much, and then she's just like, she's okay. Like normally, I had this idea that females would be weak, because of that, the shit that they went,
Yeah.
the negative things in terms of harassment and sexual abuse and all that.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know, man. We all deal with shit our own ways, basically, and the most important thing is the way you've handled it. I don't know if you use fighting to, like, if you use that as a motivation to fight, or it was something else. But you,
I mean, there was a lot. I mean, because you know, that happening definitely amplified a lot of things I was going through already. You know, but like a lot of these things, they were there prior to that. You know, with like my parents splitting up really young, and me being like ripped out of schools left and right, and growing up on welfare, and you know, all these things. Like, so a lot of that played into it, and you know, it's like I got a head start on all that first, and then that was like pouring gasoline on a fire, you know.
hmm,
So I can't say like that's the reason that I have like the thoughts and like the way that I am, because they were there before. That just made it worse and only added to it. Um, yeah, but I think being able to process it all in a healthy way. Like I said, it was a very recent thing, and I never even recognized kind of my defense mechanisms that I built up because of it, and like so many things I can now view as like, oh, that's why you that's why you are the way you are in this situation, and that's why you treat people like this sometimes, and that's why you know uh, um, put up these barriers to keep yourself safe, and in negative ways. And I'm able to at least understand it, and like once you can understand it, you can try to fix it,
Right.
and at least heal from it in a lot of ways. So you at least understand why you do certain things that you do. And yeah, I think that's vital.
Right. Did when you found Muay Thai, like what age was that again? I forget what age.
23.
23. Okay. When you
Well, no, that's when I started. I found Muay Thai when I was 14, 15.
Oh, word.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw it on TV.
Oh, wow. So did
Yeah,
you like fall in love with it at that time
dude,
when you
immediately. Because like prior to that, I love boxing, man, but I love martial arts. I love martial arts too. And I thought about boxing, but I wanted to be able to kick people, and I wanted to be able to do all that. And there was never any real martial arts fighting. It was always taekwondo and karate and just bullshit.
Yeah.
Nothing that was even close to like real fights that I would see in like boxing. And yeah, as soon as I saw Muay Thai, I was like, that is it.
That's crazy.
I knew
That
right away that was it.
Yeah. I I didn't see Muay Thai for shit when I was younger. I don't think I
No.
did anyway. Uh I saw a bunch of kung fu, and I was a big fan
Yeah.
of kung fu, and I wanted to do like Wing Chun and shit like that.
Mm.
Saw a bunch of these movies, and I thought that was real when you see these fight scenes, and you're like, you don't realize that it's all dancing choreographed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think fortunately for me, I recognized that early on. I was like, the only way you can fight like that is if they're fighting like that, and you guys kind of agree like this is how we're gonna fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
that ain't real. And I don't know. I think I understood that at an early age. And
Yeah.
yeah, so like even like the kind of point spar and stuff like that, like it was the same thing. I'm like, that ain't really fighting. Like it's cool, but it's kind of like I looked at it like I look at like fencing.
Hmm.
Like there's definitely an art to it, and it's beautiful, and the physicality and the speed and the timing, but that ain't fighting, man.
Hmm.
Like that ain't fighting.
No.
Like I'm gonna fight, and then I
Yeah.
saw that, and I'm like, damn, that's fighting right there.
Do you think this is off what I'm going for, but like Muay Thai, do you think that's like the most brutal sport besides like I don't know if Lei Wei, I don't know how to say that
Left
right.
way,
Lethwei.
left way.
Is that like
Yeah, but
more
even like left ways, I don't think I don't think there's thing like a lot of these things they're not really comparable.
okay.
It's like apples and oranges. Like they're different. They're
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Like I don't uh I don't like when people say like this one's harder, this one's tougher, this one's that. Like they're all hard, man. They're
That's
all
true.
hard. And a lot of times you'll get one person and one be like, I wouldn't do that, but then that person's on the other side like I wouldn't do what you're doing.
Right.
It's just a preference thing. Yeah, to me Muay Thai is the purest and most brutal form of beautiful violence that
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
But it's really just it's like a personality thing. Some people are just drawn to certain things.
Right.
I would never say like this is better or that's better. Like it's just a matter of taste. But yeah, I
Right.
think Muay Thai is the best.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, it's the best. So
Yeah.
whatever.
I've been preaching that. Like I'm only 2 years in. I'm like, fuck man, what the fuck was this when I was younger? But I take that back, of course, at all times because I always reflect on my daughter that I have now. She's sleeping, and my wife and kids that I'm happy where I'm at regardless. But
Yeah.
Muay Thai's the shit, man. I watch you guys fight, and I'm like, fuck, man. I could feel the bones clashing, the elbows landing on my goddamn eyebrow, and
The funny thing is, I watch it and I feel the same way. I'm like, oh hell no! Like, I'm like that shit looks painful.
yeah,
But then like you do it and it's like whatever. But yeah, it's very different watching it, and then when you're doing it, I
I
don't
was
know.
I
But
was
I can watch it. I watch my friends fight and stuff, and I'm just like, fuck. I'm like, oh yeah, I do that same stuff.
yeah. Like that, it's funny as shit with the perspective thing you're talking about. You're
Yeah.
sitting here watching it, and then you think, fuck, but you're in the zone because I guess it's your, I don't know about the science of it, what your testosterone and your adrenaline rush kicking in, and you don't really feel, you kind of feel it, but you don't because you're in the zone.
Yeah, like a good what do you call it? A good perspective is as like if somebody's chasing you down the street trying to kill you
Ah,
and you stub your toe, like yeah, it hurts, but there's something more important going on.
yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so in a fight, yeah, painful things happen, but you can't dwell on it. You're in the process of fighting for your life. You know,
Is that I can't even say it right. Fight or flight mode,
fight or
whatever.
flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, to a degree.
To a degree,
Yeah,
because you're balanced.
and then there's also developing, getting stronger, and getting tougher. It's like you take someone that's been fighting for 20 years and they can probably get the shit kicked out of them and be relatively okay. You take that same person 20 years ago and put them through the same thing and they're dead.
Right.
Like you can't handle it. Your brain, your body, everything becomes callous to this.
Hmm.
You harden up.
Yeah. I don't know if you know David Goggins. He always talks
Of
about
course.
collapsing
Of
your
course.
mind and shit.
Yeah, he's dope, man. I loved his book, man. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it's an awesome book. Um, I'm trying to go back to when you were talking about the.
Man, you got a sock on your speaker?
Yeah, I do. I'm ghetto, man.
Nice.
I'm
That's
from the
dope.
hood, dog.
Hey, I love it. I love it.
I gotta make the
What you
best of
mean.
what I got. Like the back here
Nah,
is my background is just mats. It's
you
just
should
so.
you should put some little googly eyes on there.
I should. That's a good idea. I don't want it to distract people though. They're gonna keep looking
Nah,
at the
that'd be
fucking.
hilarious, man.
Even though this is distracting it enough.
I mean, I'd like it. Some people might not.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I might actually do that. That's consideration there.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Going back to the Muay Thai fight stuff. Cause I want to fight, and I'm 31. Blah blah. I already had a talk with Eddie Abasola about this, cause a part of me was just, you know how people I hear all the time. Oh, these guys come in, they want to fight, and then they don't realize how realistic it is when you're fighting in there. But
Yeah.
it's weird because I've always wanted this since I was a kid, but
Yeah.
like you, when you were a kid, when you said this, I said, "Yo, what the fuck? It's so crazy. This your childhood shit was like me. It was weird." You said,
Mhm.
if I remember correctly, you said you were shy and you weren't even like the fighting type. You weren't into
I
the
was the most like introverted, quiet, non-violent person ever.
yeah,
Like I actually like I hated violence. I mean,
right,
I still do hate violence, but like that's violence for the sake of violence, not for a sport.
right.
You
So
know, like
so
I
you
was
like
always intrigued by violence.
intrigued how? Like, what do you mean about that? Like intrigued
So
by violence?
like I had a buddy in Colorado when I was, geez, I don't know what I was like 10, 11, 12, something like that. And this dude fought like almost every week, sometimes every day, and
Damn.
it just fascinated me to see like how strong and brave he was, and like how he could like deal with that kind of fear and everything that went with it. And that's what I was fascinated by. And then, when it came to boxing and stuff, I was fascinated by it's like the knowledge, getting into a fight, a street fight, something like that. Like you don't know what's gonna happen. It's like instantaneous in the moment with a fight in the ring, long in advance, this is the date and time somebody's going to try to end me.
Hmm.
It's a very different thing. Like you're preparing yourself to go into this thing where someone's going to do everything they can to stop you. And yeah, I was so intrigued by it because again, it was so polar opposite to the way I was as a human being. Like I'm extremely calm and just quiet and relaxed, and maybe that's why I was so drawn to it because it was such the opposite of who I was.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying because I was the same fucking way. It's weird when you talked about this guy. You think you're the only fucking person that's shy and introverted, and uh, I was legit a bitch. That's why I'm accepting of that word. I mean, other people say you're too harsh on yourself, but I was a pussy, man. I was scared to fucking fight people.
Now
Every time.
I think a big thing for me too was like I don't like violence because when someone's like hating or hurting,
Mm,
like I don't that emotional violence. And like even for me when I fight, I have zero emotion. Like I'm very passionate, but there anytime I've tried to fight with like anger or hatred or anything like that, it was like dog shit and I felt terrible. But again, some people need that.
yeah,
Some people need that anger. Like Joe Schilling, he's he gets so pissed and like he needs it. It's like fuel. But for
yeah,
me, it's counterproductive. Like it suppresses me, and like I feel like the weight of it, and like I can't function correctly. Like for me, I'm very calm, and like fighting brings me peace. Like I find peace in the chaos,
hmm,
and I find clarity, and I feel at home in the midst of the violence of fighting.
right.
Yeah.
I've been playing around with this idea with the mindset thing, and because I just spar so far, and I had this different phases of trying to understand who I am as a fighter or whatever.
Mm.
I had the aggressive side. I had the a little bit of anger because I don't like when I first started I didn't like getting punched in the face 'cause I get mad. But I realize I don't know if this is a thing, but I realize that I just like having when I have fun. That's when I work
Yeah.
best. Is that like a thing? Like you have everyone is
Yeah.
different. Like if I'm having fun, I'm performing the best I can. The best,
Mm.
you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
performing. I'm sorry. What you just said. Is that your performance level? Like you have that specific mode. Like mine is like I
Yeah.
want to have fun, and yours is like I want to be able to just chill out, enjoy this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you said, everybody's different, and there's no right way or wrong way to it. You got to find where your place of zen is.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so for me, it's a very I'm very passionate and driven, yet very relaxed. Once emotion gets in there, that throws me off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, it complicates things in my brain. And then I start overcompensating with like going too hard or going too light or all these things. Like you've got to find that perfect balance between whatever it is on both sides of the equation. And it's such a unique thing to the individual. Everybody's different. Everybody's driven by different things. Everybody fights for a different reason. Some people are fighting to overcome their childhood. Some people have had a perfect life and they're just fighting because they enjoy the competition. Some people are fighting to uh, get a better life or find a way out, or everyone is driven by different things, and um, taking hold of what that is for you is what's important. Like you can't fight for somebody else's reasons. You got to fight for your own, and we'll find out what that is, and you'll perform better.
Yeah, I think that's like the most beautiful thing about martial arts, or specifically combat sports, is you guys are out there trying to find your way. What makes you you in that ring, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. Like to watch
Well, it
it.
teaches you. I mean, for me, the thing about fighting is it teaches you everything you need to know about life. All these life lessons you're forced to learn and confront regularly. A lot of things some people never face, until something drastic happens in their life. But every day you're dealing with fear. Every day you're dealing with doubt. Every day you're dealing with failure. Every day you're dealing with insecurities. Every day you're dealing with your good days and your bad days and your non-performance days, and learning that sometimes on your worst days you perform your best and vice versa. Like all these things correlate to every aspect of life. And I think it gives you a really a healthy perspective, and puts things into context. Like, so for me, when I'm not fighting and I'm not training, all of the static and distractions of life start seeping in. And I'm like, no wonder everybody's miserable and wants to kill each other and is pissed off in traffic and all, like, because I start feeling that, like really quick. If I'm not active and taking care of myself and being physical on a regular basis, I can feel that coming in on me. And it really amazes me that everybody's not out there shooting each other, because I start feeling that and I want to like do some harm. Like, I don't know what to do with these feelings, and that gives you that, like, a physical outlet, kind of clears the noise away, and it makes things very clear. I think in just the way you think, the way you feel, the way you process information, the way you deal with conflict, and the way you deal with circumstances. All these things are vital, and that's why I think martial arts, sports, athletics, all of those things are incredibly important for your mental health. People's there's something about being physical, or I should say being active, because you can be mentally active by playing chess or anything like that, but things that allow you to work through those muscles and those situations that will play out in everyday life. It gives you, it's almost like giving you practice and showing you how to navigate situations,
Right.
on a very kind of extreme scale.
Right.
That you're forced into on a regular basis. And that's why a lot of you find that a lot of fighters are the most, like, I mean, they might be extreme in a lot of ways, but they're a little more balanced than your everyday person that's sitting in a cubicle and wanting to kill themselves every day.
Mm.
There's something to that.
Right. I don't I came up with this not theory, but because I heard it from other people. I don't come up with anything. I have to remind myself of that. But
Nobody does.
yeah, nobody does. We're all sharing ideas, and it's just all like data transferring to our brains. But I wanted to ask you if you meditate, but I wanted to talk about that refers to what you're just saying now in terms of that humans is a balance of like having physical activity and working on your your mental game. You know what I mean? Your mental health and your physical health, making sure that they're both at bay. Like, because if you let go of the other, you don't do anything for shit, and you just focus on mental shit. Your physical performance is just gonna, get in the way. Like you just said, the white noise. I realized, because I'm injured a little bit, not really. My shoulder's fucked up, and my knee is starting to bear, like, kind of it's sketchy. So I have to stop training, and I may not be able to fight because I wanted to fight in May. Blah blah blah. But it's like, fuck, man. Okay, well, I got meditation at least. Meditation has been this new thing that I've been doing it for 4 years, 5 years, 5 years. But now I've been using, I don't know if you know Sam Harris. He has his app, Waking Up, and the book and whatever. I've been I've been into that shit deeply, man. And the consciousness is crazy. The shit that you learn about it, and you reach these certain points, you're like, holy fuck, oh my god, this is amazing, blah blah blah. And I just thought, that's all I need is just my mental game. That's it. Just focus on my mental health. I'm good. And then I realized, since I haven't been training as much, I'm like, fuck, I miss punching someone in the face, and I miss choking someone out in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And you realize that it is a balance, man. Like you just said, everything is a balance in life, and all of us. I don't know if it's just dudes. Maybe it's just. Maybe it's all humans. I don't think it's gender specific, but we all need to do something. Physical. Like you said.
Yeah.
And it's important, and that's why I've been trying to put out there as well, because I've been trying to figure shit out, being my own little lab experiment, uh, doing all this shit. Anyway, do you
Yeah,
meditate?
man. Do I
That's what I wanted
meditate?
to ask you.
I feel like I'm in a constant state of meditation.
Hmm.
You know, I don't sit down and like, all right, now I'm gonna meditate. You know, I think I don't know, like I don't think I ever realized that meditation is kind of what you make it.
Hmm.
You know, just like everything else, it like there's no one way to do it.
That's true.
You know,
Yeah.
like people can meditate going for a walk. People can meditate sitting and meditating. People can meditate playing the guitar. You know, it's a I think it's a way to get your body and mind and spirit aligned and focused and healthy. You
Hmm.
know, and I think I found a lot of ways to do that. So it's like a compilation of things that I do, not just one like I'm meditating now. You know, I mean, yeah, I've practiced kind of things here and there with actual things like that, which are always beneficial. But I'd say the majority of the time it's a lot more freedom and not really something you can describe. You know, it's kind of hard to put into words what it is, but I feel like I'm always, not always, but when I'm keeping myself where I need to be and in a healthy way and all these things, it's like that balance of being in a state of meditation and a state of focus and a state of all the pieces working together in the right way.
Right. Like the portion of my meditation that I love the most out of it is the mindfulness thing.
Yeah.
Right. The
Yeah, but like that. So I try to practice mindfulness in everything that I do.
mhm.
You know, like yeah, I'll take a moment and like specifically try to be mindful about what I'm doing and practice it sometimes in that way. But I think the more that you do that, the more that manifests in everything that you do without having to think about it. You know, you practice it on a small scale and then it shows up on a larger scale.
Right. Did you ever have like emotional issues that you couldn't control that you had to manage? If that makes sense. Like I had a dumbass fucking temper, and as part of the and it's funny because I developed that temper because when I was a kid, that was my defensive mechanism. Like I wanted to create this anger, this temper because my mom had it. She used to use. I grew up seeing that she had this crazy temper. Everyone was scared of her. So I'm like, I want to be like that. So I thought
Yeah.
I had to do that same thing, but it got the best of me. Of course, I'm over here flipping people the bird, and when you're driving or just stupid shit. I used to just snap for anything. Like it was just ridiculous. I used to snap on my, my significant others, my mom, or anybody over some
Hmm.
dumb shit, and I would black out eventually, and forget what the fuck I did
Oh
or
yeah.
said. Uh, but shit like that. Did you go through anything like that you had to learn how to manage?
Yeah, except I don't know, mine was the exact opposite. So I didn't even recognize it, the fact that that's what I was doing. Like I internalized everything. I shut down everything. Everything was like harmful on the inside. Like I didn't express it externally. Um, so it was very damaging just in a quiet way. Like I was damaging myself by like holding all of that in,
Hmm.
you know. And you know, when I was younger, a lot of self harm and abusing myself in different ways and inviting other people to abuse me and so I internalized it all. But yeah, it's the same. It was the same thing, and just as detrimental, you know. But just it was almost worse because it wasn't obvious that's what I was doing. You know, when you're vocal about it and expressive, people can see that's what's going on. Like, you know, you're venting. But when you internalize it, it's hidden, and you can keep it away from people for forever. and even keep it away from yourself, because you can see when other people do it and you're like, well, I'm not doing that, so it must not be the same thing.
Mm.
It's almost like you rationalize it and are able to ignore the fact that you're being just as destructive, if not more so, by not showing it.
Right.
Yeah. And again, like I said, like a lot of these things are stuff I'm starting to recognize that that is what I was doing all that time. I wasn't, to me, I was like, oh, well, I'm not venting on other people, so that must be healthy.
Mm.
While I was venting on myself, I'm like, that's not any better. So yeah, I definitely was doing that, so I did a lot of damage to myself.
Did you when you were I'm sorry, when you were training Muay Thai, did that like help you in any way? Like training and fighting, did it like help you deal with
I
those
mean,
problems that the
it
self-harm and all that?
yeah, I mean, it without question saved my life. It it freed me of all that, and let me focus that energy into something positive.
Hmm.
Like that has to go somewhere,
Yeah.
whether it's on another person, whether you internalize it, whether you direct it at a project or a physical activity. This has to go somewhere. Like, it's like the energy can't be created or destroyed. Like, it's there. Do something with it. And if you don't do something with it, it's going to destroy you. And hopefully you don't destroy somebody else. But if you can point it in the right direction, it can be a very positive thing.
So, yeah, you just gave me a nice little vision about myself because I was going through all this shit when I was in my 20s, younger 20s, and I was always constantly looking for love and like always trying to fill the gap and the void because I had lacked a lot of like I didn't have love when I grew up and that's all I wanted. Uh, I don't know if it has anything to do with Disney films and all that shit, the shit that you're raised with, but I know a
Yeah, that
lot of
shit's. I think we don't realize like how, I don't want to say traumatic, but misleading a lot of that is, and it
yeah.
gives a lot of us these beliefs. I'd say especially more so like to women. They're fed this belief that one day they're going to be saved by this knight in shining armor, and I don't think it's a positive thing for any of us to not understand life, and like, yeah, these things are great, and like anything else, it's good to have something to strive for, and to not lower your expectations. But when you put them in those terms, like, that's never going to happen, and it becomes counterproductive. you know
Yeah.
yeah, I think it does a lot of harm.
Right. And it's crazy how it affects so many people. And going back to what we talked about earlier with the coronavirus, whatever. I like to call it the Heineken virus, whatever. Is a side joke. Um, because I was talking to my friend about because he's Cambodian, and I was like trying to make a joke
Oh yes.
about why is it Corona? That's Mexican. It should be like an Asian beer or something. I'm being silly.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, what do you call it? People are there's so many people fucking distracted, man, with their phones and social
Yeah,
media and political issues. And I get it. We all want to make a difference with politics and uh, see change with our what do you call it, our beliefs and
yeah,
whatever. Like we going back to right and left, like whatever you believe in, your ideologies and all that. But you're distracting yourself from if that makes sense. You're distracting yourself from yourself because you're looking at
yeah,
all these other things that don't
yeah,
matter. Like, I
yeah,
mean, yeah,
yeah,
they
yeah,
matter in a way, but first it goes to you dealing
yeah,
with your own issues. You know what I mean? Like we all
yeah.
grew up with our own fucking issues that we don't realize.
Yeah,
And
well, it's like it's so much easier to point out somebody else's flaws,
th-
and what everybody else is doing wrong. And again, it went to like what I was saying about, how we rationalize our mistakes and our beliefs, and then we are able to pinpoint what everybody else is doing wrong, the mistakes they made, the harm they did us, and it becomes this vicious cycle where we're not viewing the things we do bad, or you know, kind of the beliefs we have that are a little wonky, you know, and yeah, it's just a matter of our perspectives are totally out of whack
Yeah.
because of that. You know, we're not able to self-analyze. You know, we can only look at others and be like, oh, I see what you're doing. But like, if you can take a step away from yourself, like get out of your own body and look at yourself on the outside, um, from an unbiased perspective, and you'll be able to see just how out of whack you are,
Right.
that
Did
we
you?
all are.
Yeah, of course. I know I'm a crazy son of a bitch. Uh, did you do that at any point in your life in terms of like sitting there, self-reflect, and like during your Muay Thai career or before that? Did you?
I would say that's more of a recent development.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, to really do it, you know,
Yeah.
I probably did it on a small scale on certain things, you know, like when mistakes happen and something obvious. But really to be able to step out of my body and look at myself from the outside, is that's not an easy thing to do,
No.
not at all.
Yeah, because
But
you're
I think the more you try to do it, the closer you will be to doing it.
right.
I think even just having that understanding of, the way you look at others, people look at you that way too. Like recognize that,
Mm.
you're just as crazy, you're just out of whack. You're the same. Like we're all the same. We look we it's so easy to look at other, like look at people in another country and be like, oh, all French people are like this. And like, yeah, what do you think they think of you? What do you think think of you? The same thing from like the political perspective. We sit here in this belief like we're correct. Our country is correct. We're the good guys. You're the bad guys. We do everything right, and everything we do wrong is there. Well, there was a reason for it. We rationalize it. Like, no, man, we do some really fucking horrible shit, and we do bad shit, and then bad shit gets back done to us. But we don't look at the stuff we did bad. We just look at that, like what they did because of it, and then now you're the bad guy. Well, we're the bad guy to somebody. Everybody's the bad guy to somebody else,
Mm.
but you don't think that. You think everybody thinks they're the good guy. I bet you think the bad guys think they're the bad guys.
Right.
They don't.
Yeah.
They have a reason for the things they do, whatever their beliefs are, whatever their rationalizations are. Everybody thinks their side is right, and the sooner you recognize that fact, you can come to a little bit more of an understanding of why people do the things they do. That every it's easy to look at someone else as evil and wrong, and they must be twisted and all these things, but so are you. You're evil and twisted to somebody, and I think that, um, kind of being humbled by that, like nobody's 100% right about anything, and being honest with our limitations and our flaws allows us to kind of be on a level playing field with everybody. Like we're all making mistakes. We're all doing bad stuff, sometimes intentional, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just a lack of perspective, sometimes it's a lack of education, sometimes there's a lot of reasons, not just you did something wrong, you're an evil person.
Yeah.
But
Like.
we
Yeah.
when other people do it, that's the box we put them in. They did it on purpose, they're evil, they must die. But then when we could do the exact same thing, we're like, yeah, but we did it because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like, so you rationalize what you did. You both did the exact same thing. The results were the same, except you think your way is right and their way was wrong. And that's just that's how we human beings are. It's why we keep running in these circles, because nobody can admit what they do wrong. They can
Mm.
only point out what others do wrong and what they do right. And or they downplay what they do wrong, or they rationalize it, or there's always a reason for it, or it's because you did this, I did this. And there's always a little bit of truth to that. So you can't say you're wrong, because there's a little bit of truth in everything.
Yeah.
But there's also a little bit of falsehood in everything too.
Right. And I came up with this mantra, one of the mantras. I didn't believe this mantra shit until I realized what it meant. Because you have this mantra. You hear mantra, you're like, oh, okay, like or spirituality, like okay, but mantras is just a word or a phrase that you repeat to yourself whenever you go through different situations. And the one mantra that helped me do this podcast, like reaching out to you and Eddie Abasolo and whoever else I'm gonna reach out to, is just worry about you. Like get out of your own way, and then a reminder of I loved your I don't know who came up with that quote, the one you shared.
Which
Uh,
one?
be someone
Oh, be
that
the person you needed when you were younger.
yeah, I love that quote, man.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people have said it. I don't know who it's actually uh, uh, credited towards.
Yeah.
I think several people have it, but yeah, I've had um, Gina's got a poster of it, or a framed picture of it on her door, on her wall, and it's like literally like the last year, maybe the last 2 years. Every time I see it, it's just becoming more and more and more like, that's you, that's you, that's you, that's you. You could have been that. You are that person. You could be that person to somebody else. Like, I would think about if I was going through that right now, you're sitting here with the ability to be that person and you're not doing it. Why? Why aren't you doing it? I'm like, well, I don't know how to do it. I don't know like where, when, what. That's part of the reason. It really is just like I'm afraid to do it. I don't want to speak up because I don't know how it's going to be viewed. I don't know people are going to think. Like obviously some people are going to take it the wrong way and make fun of it or whatever. And we start contemplating all of these reasons and excuses and to take us away from the solid fact is you can make a difference even if it's to one person and you're too afraid to. And don't you think there was people going through this that are in the same shoes that you were, and the only reason they didn't is because they were afraid to, and you're sitting in the exact same place now. You can understand why they didn't, because it's fucking scary, man. Like it's super scary. Sharing that on his show was one of the most petrifying things I've ever done in my whole life, because one, I like, if he would have asked me about it, I could talk about it all day. I had to bring it up. I had to completely derail the conversation. Like, how do I even do this? Like, I was like, I'm gonna destroy his show. Like, he's probably not even gonna air this. Like, how do I even go about this? It's not like you can casually guide the conversation and be like, oh yeah, by the way, when I was 14, I got raped.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? And then I was like, maybe I'm just gonna have to do that. Maybe I'm gonna have to, like, hey, we gotta stop talking. I gotta talk about this. I'm like, if that's what it takes, that's what you gotta do.
All right.
And like I started out on the show and kind of fell right back into what I said I wasn't gonna do, and that's just talking about fighting and very comfortable. I was like, I could talk about this all day, but as I'm talking about this, I'm like, you said you weren't gonna do this. You said you weren't gonna do this. You said you weren't gonna do this. And there's
Yeah.
a couple moments, I'm sure most people didn't pick up on it, but you can see where I almost talk about it. Like when he was talking about like how I grew up and stuff, like I almost went there a few times and I just couldn't do it, man. I just couldn't do it. And then like finally I realized that if I finish the show and don't do it, I'm never gonna forgive myself. I was like, oh, you can do it somewhere else. You can just do it on your own. But it's like, this is a very unique opportunity you have to reach millions of people. There's nothing else that will ever give you this opportunity. Not only that, you've been praying about this, like, how am I going to talk about this? Like, where can I do this? And this just happened out of the blue. It was like, here's your opportunity. I'm handing it to you. And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not what I was asking for. I wanted something different. But like, no, here. Like we ask for these things, and then they happen, but it might not be the way you wanted them to.
Hmm.
But like this is what you've been asking for. It might not be what you thought it was going to be, but this is it. And it's easy to say, oh well, I'm going to do it my way, or I'm going to do it a different way. Like, it's supposed to be uncomfortable. That's the whole thing with like everything in life. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing, you're not developing. Getting stronger is painful. It hurts. Like getting in shape, developing your muscles, you hurt yourself in order to do this. You break yourself down in order to build yourself back up. Just like you need someone in your life that keeps you in check.
Right,
If
right.
the people in your life are always agreeing with you, you guys are just lost in the wilderness. You don't even know where you're going. Everyone's kind of blindly following each other around, and nobody knows what's going. And why it's so important to have those two polar opposites, because if we end up in the middle, nice and balanced, you got the left, you got the right, but we want to be here. Nobody wants to be on either end. Both
Mm.
ends are bad. Even if there's a lot of positive on one side, you're missing so much. There's so much you're missing from the other side. You got to be in the middle. You got to have your white friends and your black friends and your Asian friends. We need everybody together. You want to hang out with people that are all the same as you? Oh, fuck no, dude. Why? Why don't you just be a robot then? You're
Right.
not even a human being anymore. If everybody believes the same things you do, if everybody says the same things you do, if everybody looks the same way you do, what is that? That's not living. But like we fight against that so much. We fight against change. We fight against things that are different. Yet the differences is what is the beautiful thing about our time here. It's about the variety. It's about the colors of everything, the different shapes and sounds and smells and beliefs. And the more we can be in harmony with that, it's not like you have to believe what other people believe. It's just a different perspective. And maybe you don't even believe what you believe, but you've never thought about it from a different point of view. And the thing is, that other point of view might make you believe what you really believe that much more. But how do you even know it unless you've explored somebody else's, unless you stepped outside yourself and seen the whole picture? You've been stuck in this bubble. And if you're stuck in a bubble, you're not growing, you're not developing, you're dying.
Hmm.
So yeah, variety is important.
That is important, dude. I agree. Uh, it's really interesting, man, because I find myself doing the same thing you mentioned in terms of I want like-minded people around me.
Yeah, because it's
Uh,
comfortable, man.
yeah, it is
It's comfortable.
comfortable. It is comfortable.
Super comfortable.
Uh, it's like it's just it's weird because you're trying to. For me, I don't know. I'm isolated with my family right now. Uh, the only time I get to see a variety of people is when I train,
Mm.
but we don't talk. You know what I mean? We don't have
Yeah.
these discussions that you and I are having right now.
Mm.
We just train. Some people are just talking what they want to talk about, and I don't really jump in it because I don't really care about the stuff that they talk about. Because I like to talk about this shit. I like to talk about life and
Right.
philosophy, and it's kind of interesting. You're saying we should be into the variety of it, and I'm connecting it with combat sports. How there's different varieties of martial artists clashing together
Mm.
and creating beautiful fights. For
Yeah.
us to watch. It's just I don't know. I'm like my mind is going there for some reason, but
Yeah. Well, again, there's always, I mean, there's a balance to that too, because just being around people that have conflicting ideas, then you're kind of all constantly in a state of fighting in a way. And it's finding a way to do that in a healthy, balanced way. You know,
Mm.
it's like being, you want to be pushed and you want to grow and develop and strengthen yourself, but you also don't need to stay there all the time. It's like doing sprints. You can't sprint all the time.
Mm.
Like there's a time and a place for that. You know, there's a time and a place for rest and chilling and not thinking about anything. And then there's a time and a place for really pushing yourself and stretching yourself and being in the fire, you know, but you don't want to live in the fire. You
Yeah.
want to you want to dabble in here for a little bit and give it the attention it deserves in the moment, but know that it's for a finite period of time. You're not going to be there forever, so you can put everything into that in that time. But you got to know that you're going to have to balance it out on the other side. Where I was in the fire for a while, now I got to relax a little bit and, you know, take care of things. It's that kind of being in that flow state all the time,
Mm.
and then giving things the time and the energy they deserve, and not overdoing it one way or the other. And it's like everything in life is trying to find that middle point. You know, we're either too far left or we're too far right, and we're always, not always, some of us that are trying to be balanced, you're either on one side or the other, and you're constantly hopping over. You're never going to find the middle ever. You can't, like, you can't find the middle. Like I say, you can never find balance, because as soon as you think you're balanced, it goes. You're always in a state of flux. Like, state of movement is balance. Balance isn't staying. Even if it looks that way, it's adjusting
Right.
just very minutely. So we're always in motion. You know, if you're not in motion, you're dead.
Hmm. Do you instruct or teach, whatever, I don't know what's
Yeah,
the preferred.
yeah, yeah. No, it's not a it's a not a full-time thing, because with fighting and everything,
Yeah.
it's kind of sporadic. But yeah, I teach at the gyms I train at. I do privates, I do seminars, and um, it, it it all varies depending on what I'm doing and the other aspects of my life.
Do you see yourself like when you fight, you have your passion for that, but do you have that like I know it's different for teaching, but do you have a similar passion with teaching or reaching out to other people?
Yeah, I do for some people. I definitely have a passion for people that are, I don't even want to say fighting, but have the same drive to better themselves in through this.
Hmm.
You know, those people I got all the time in the world for. Um, it's the people that are screwing around or are motivated by what they look like and social media, and like you can just throw yourself in front of traffic because I don't want nothing to do with you. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that's also what keeps me from really like diving headfirst into teaching, because you got to take everything with it. You know, you got to take the good with the bad. But right now, I can be selective in who I teach and when and where and why. So I think that's more than likely always going to be the case. You know, that's why I don't ever see having my own gym or anything like that, because I need to have that freedom, not only in teaching, but there's so many other things that I do. I don't think I could ever be pigeonholed into one kind of job where like this is, I don't have time or energy for anything else. I
Right.
don't uh, I don't see that happening. But again, who knows how I'm going to feel or where I'm going to be down the road. You know, it might end up being everything that I want to do. You
Right.
know, it's just I can only I can only take it a day at a time, because that's all that I really have. You know, I try to have an idea of the direction I want to go, but I know how things can change and you might not feel that way. You know, the things that I know that I want to do, you know, they take priority. Everything else is up in the air. because it might change. It might change today, tomorrow, next week. I don't know.
Yeah.
But as of right now, this is what I'm doing, and I got a good kind of balance with everything.
And all you're focused on is just fighting,
Yeah,
besides the
and
teaching and all that. Yeah.
focused on fighting and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that I mean, fighting takes priority over everything else that I do.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, for sure. But also fighting is the one thing that has a finite timeline. I mean, other than just life in general is finite, but for sure, fighting is very brief and can't do it forever. Everything else I can relatively do for as long as I'm breathing.
Hmm. Do you train at home? That's a random question I asked because I train at home and I was
Like, do
just
I work out at home?
yeah. Are you able to train at home and
Yeah, I got a little gym in the garage, but
uh
you know,
okay
I consider that working out at home. You
okay
know, I guess at home is more kind of my baseline. You know that I don't consider that training.
oh
I
okay yeah
consider that just like an everyday thing, or when I'm not at the gym, I would be here, or if I'm taking a break from real training and fighting, this is like I work out here.
right. Training is what, hitting pads and sparring
I guess for
combinations.
me, training is specific with an intention and a goal and a process. For me, working out is just like your baseline, staying in shape and staying relatively active, you know, but what not necessarily with any goal or focus other than maintenance,
Hmm.
like maintenance.
Right.
Working out to me is maintenance mode.
I gotcha. No, I was asking because I train at home and I don't know. I don't know if it's training. I'm like, you gave me perspective, but
Yeah, I mean, it
it's
can
just
be for sure. Like if I didn't, if I wasn't as active in the gym as I was,
yeah.
this would be training. I would be a lot more focused and intentional in what I do here,
Right.
as opposed to there. So like for me, this is a where I can just let my body move and not be worried about how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. It's more of a relaxed, I would say, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's like a active rest, but more so.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I don't get to train much at the gym that
Yeah.
I go to, and I just try my best to just everything that I think I know. I just train here and hit the bag that I have downstairs and try to focus on just the basic stuff, the fundamentals. Uh, and I had this idea that maybe I could just train myself and maybe I can get to a fight, but I was like nah, I was just going over my head, of course, thinking these other guys are getting coached by other guys, so I have to be more realistic with my goals here. Uh, and I don't know. I was just curious about your perspective about that.
We all we all got our limitations, man, and some
Yeah, yeah,
people they don't have a gym. What I tell people is you just got to make the most of whatever it is, and there's way because there's people that can make a lot more out of working out on their own than they can in a gym, and vice versa. Certain people one perform better and one or the other, and then certain people just don't have options. It's like if you're in a place where there aren't any gyms or people to train with, you got to do what you got to do.
right.
And all of us, no matter where you are in the world, we're all missing something, some piece.
Mm,
Nowhere's got everything, no matter what. So make the most of what you do have.
yeah, that's true. Um, sorry, I'm just going back into my questions in my head. I have like questions written down to remind me what I
Oh
want
yeah.
to talk about. Uh, I did see that you posted something about a book. I wanted to ask you, like, did you have any book recommendations? 'Cause I saw that you read the what's that book that you just read recently?
Ego is the enemy.
Ego's the enemy.
Yeah, that was really good. Really good. Um, yeah, he Ryan Holiday, he's got a couple of books. That one, what was the other one? The Obstacle is the Way is another really good one.
And
Uh,
stillness is key.
yeah, I haven't read that one yet.
Yeah.
That's next. Yeah. But yeah, I love books like that, like philosophy and life stuff, as well as biographies and autobiographies. Like those are kind of the three things I go in between. I don't really read, pretty much don't read any fiction.
Hmm.
Not anymore. I used to only read fiction, and then I don't know. As I got older, as I was training and stuff, a lot more just real life stuff. Like to me, it's so valuable and learning about people's stories and perspectives and just lives it's uh, um, just helped me be a lot more better, just a better human being.
Right. You want to improve your mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing the same thing. I've been trying to find books that focus. It's not fiction.
Yeah.
My
Well,
wife.
I try to put up all the stuff I read, which I mean, I need to go back and put up everything I've ever read, but I haven't got around to it.
Yeah,
So I
it
just
takes
put the
time.
recent stuff, and I have two hashtags. I got a Kevin Ross book club, and so if you look that up, a bunch of the books that I've read and recommendations are on there. So I try to always do that. That way people can just go search that, and then all these books pop up.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely gotta check that out because I'm always curious about recommendations from other people.
Yeah, yeah, I got a lot. There's so many. I'm like, I don't know, pick one. Just depends what you're kind of looking for.
Yeah. Um, I wanted to ask you in terms of what did you. I kind of have an idea, but I guess I should ask the question. Stop being silly. My mind is like trying to force myself not to ask the question. I don't know why. Uh,
Just ask it, man.
yeah, I know, I know. I'm a weirdo. uh, what do you want to see change within the world? That what you can do with it, basically. What can you see yourself doing to help people? Um, if I can, does
In
that
the
make?
world.
Yeah, I guess the people you're reaching out to. What do you want?
Oh, like
Yeah,
what's my like motivator, and like
yeah,
what do I want? Like what do I want from
yeah,
this?
yeah.
What do I want from this? Well, so it started out with wanting to be that. I mean, in this kind of, I mean, now it's more like life in general, like wanting to be the person that I wish I had. But it started out with like fighting. When I came up in fighting, I didn't have anybody to look up to as like this is what I can aspire to. Like this guy did it before, I can do that. Like I didn't have anybody like that to look at to. Obviously I had the ties to look at, but you can't relate to that.
Yeah.
I didn't start when I was 8. I wasn't born in Thailand. I didn't fight every week. I started when I was 23, and so that was very motivational for me to be very honest and open with my journey and my struggles, and to be vocal about everything, as well as to push myself. I mean, I was obviously pushing myself for me, but I always felt that the harder I push myself, the more doors I break down, the more I help the sport grow, the better it's going to be for everybody else. I might not see the rewards of it, but if you're doing it for that reason, I think you should be doing something else anyway. You
Mhm.
know, I I always want things to be better than when I got there. When in fighting, like when I go and teach my seminars, that was that was something that I got to see. I went to a few seminars before I ever taught, and I was like, well, yeah, that was cool and all, but all you really did was show me stuff I can watch you do on video. Like I'm not any better because you were here. It was just fun to hang out with you and see you do cool shit. But you didn't give me any, like, how do I even do some of that shit, as opposed to just demoing it for me.
Right.
So for me, which, it's easy to do, and it's kind of a mindless thing to do. It's easy to just distract people with fluff, but at the end of the day, are they better off because you were there? Did you give them any tools to better themselves? Probably not. So that was always a motivational thing for me on the teaching aspect of it, and just, I guess, just in life in general. I are are things and people that you interact with better or worse because you were there. And I hope and I strive to make things better, or at least neutral.
Mhm.
Definitely not worse. And I think that's just a overlying philosophy that I have, and try to have. Obviously, I'm not, don't try to act like that's how I live every day, and but that's what I strive for, and really try to, think about, often, that, you know how how would I want to, one thing I used to have this quote written up, and I don't know if anybody said it. It was just something I thought about once. Is, don't don't live every day like it's your last day, because to me, if you lived every day like it was your last day, there's a lot of shit you're not going to do.
Mhm. Yeah.
you know but live every day like it's your second time around, like you lived your day like you would. You were very reactive to it and just went with emotions and that thing. Be like, all right, now do that day again. Give yourself a little bit of perspective. It's like when you're running late for work, are you going to let it stress you out and piss you off and make you overreact to certain circumstances? Or, this, I'm late, so I can make this worse, or I can make it a little bit better. I think that's the, it's kind of that Thai philosophy of just relax, relax. Even in the midst of the chaos and the violence and the pain and everything, you're in the midst of it. Nothing's going to change that. You can make it worse by stressing out, by freaking out, by panicking, or you can at least neutralize it, or maybe even make it better by accepting that you're in this. It's like getting, diagnosed with a what you call it, a fatal kind of thing, a disease or something that you can't survive. Like, you still have a choice how
Mm.
you move forward. You still have a choice how it affects you, and, what you do with the time that you have. You can be self-pity and depressed, and why me, and all of these things that are only going to make it worse.
Right.
It's not going to change your circumstances. um, or you can, make the most out of the time you have. So I think, that's just a general kind of philosophy and mindset that I try to maintain, and think about through everything that I do.
Hmm. Like right now, all the stuff that we just talked about,
Yeah,
uh, hopefully reaches out to a lot of people to, change their perspective on things or give them a better perspective, whatever the word is I'm looking for.
yeah. I think it's really that. I mean, perspective is literally everything.
Yeah.
Everything is perspective. Everything is relative. It's like Einstein said, everything is relative. Like every facet and aspect of life is relative. You can't even understand something unless you compare it to something else.
Hmm.
You don't know what words are unless you compare them to, like, what is a bottle mean? Like, describe that to somebody that doesn't know what a bottle is. The only way to describe it is to describe it against something else that they have to know,
Hmm.
or else you're talking gibberish. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's how we interact with the world. Is we compare things. We because we relate to them. That's what, like, relative means. Like, how do these things relate? how do you understand what light is? Well, this is dark, this is light. How do you understand what color is? Well, we just give it some word, and everybody agrees that hue is this word, but that's not really what it is. That's just a label we put on it for us all to understand. Nothing is anything. We give it labels, and that's how we're able to understand it and how everything relates to each other. You know.
Yeah. The I'm going into, what do you call it? These questions that I have from my friend of mine. This is going off the surface of philosophy and everything we just talked about.
Mm.
Because my focus with the show is mainly just, again, conversating about the stuff that we just talked about, everything now. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be honest. I watched maybe 2 or 3 of your fights recently, just so I can get to know what type of fighter you're at, and I still lack perspective. And again, I'm completely honest with, uh, you know, in general. I try to be anyway. But
Mm.
yeah, you're so my friend of mine. He told me, my training partner. He told me that you would lose a fight and then you don't lose your rematch. Like,
Yeah.
he wanted to understand, like, what did you learn to improve uh against someone you lost to? Like, what helped you when you lost that first match? You're like, all right, you gotta get your shit together. Like, what was it that led you to keep that shit consistent with all your other matches?
Oh, sorry, man. You cut out for a minute. What? You said the rematch. What?
Are your rematches? I don't know if this is accurate, but you won all your rematches, like, that you went against people?
Most of them.
Most of
Not
them.
not
Okay,
all. Not all
not
of
all of
them
them.
for
Okay,
sure.
so
But
again,
but yeah, I'd say like 90% of them. Yeah.
90% of them. What helped you defeat your opponents, like, the second time around? Like, what helped you improve? And
Well, I mean, a lot of things really. I
oh, it's
mean,
just
I
okay.
don't think it's something you can really
Yeah,
say like, oh, I just did this.
right.
I think on just like a basic level, the first time you fight somebody, you don't know anything about them. You might have seen what they do, but you can study somebody for your whole life. It's not the same when you're in there.
Mm,
Like nothing's the same. That's why I tend to not study people, because it gives you a misconstrued perspective on things. I think it's good to have an idea and a generalized concept, but you think, again, like with most things, we tend to go one way or the other. We think they're better than they are, or we think they're worse than they are, and both can be bad. You
right.
know. So yeah, I like to have a concept maybe of what they kind of look like and move like and all of these things, but they might fight completely different. And not only that, it will be completely different when you're in there. It's very different, no
Mm,
matter no matter what you study, or you might fight somebody, a different person, and then you did all this work for something, and it might not work out so well with that person. So you have to have some form of fluidity and ability to handle any situation, regardless of person. So, but as far as like why I beat them, I don't know, like learning from your mistakes and learning just about that person. You learn more about a person fighting them than you do talking to them. It's you kind of know some things that can't be expressed with words. Um, yeah, I think it's a pretty complex
yeah, yeah.
answer. I don't know
No, that
if
makes
that,
sense.
but yeah,
It's a bit of a, I don't know if that's a vague question, but
yeah, it's pretty vague. It's
yeah,
pretty vague.
because you can get deep
Uh,
into that. Yeah.
you'd have to I mean, you'd really have to do like a case by case thing, like what happened in this one, and then yeah, I could give you more details on that, but generalizing
All of them.
that, there's so many factors that go into that.
Uh, your fight versus Gabriel Varga.
Yeah.
he wanted to understand the difference in that fight since there was no clinch and elbows. Like, did you feel anything with that? Like, because you weren't able to get your clinches in, and
Well, yeah, I mean that's I've been kickboxing for the last 4 years now, so yeah, all those things play a role. You know, for me, going to kickboxing was just another um, mountain to climb. You
hmm,
know, it's very similar, of course, to Muay Thai, but at the same time, it's night and day different.
yeah,
It's completely different. So many things are different. And on the surface, it doesn't appear that way. You know, you can say, "Oh, there's just no clench and there's no elbows, and that's it." But that's not it. You know, it's a million different finite details that you can't really understand unless you've fought both. You know, they're the same. It's like the difference between football and rugby. They're very similar, I guess, but
right,
you take an NFL guy and put him in a rugby match, he's gonna die, and
yeah,
vice versa. You know, vice versa. They're not comparable. They're not comparable.
okay,
Um, but yeah, it was kickboxing for me was just it was really motivating to do something different, to do something that I wasn't comfortable. I was relatively comfortable compared to a lot of, I think, Thai boxers that would switch. But it was still a lot of things I had to learn and turn off. And, it wasn't, probably wasn't until my fourth fight that I was like, now I feel sort of comfortable, but I still don't even feel like at home kickboxing. It's still relatively new.
huh. Yeah, because I know you like Muay Thai better than kickboxing itself.
Yeah.
But I was actually curious about that too, like just the difference between the two. But you answered my question with that.
Yeah.
Um, that was my own personal question, honestly, because I was always I didn't know any difference when I first
Yeah.
got into it. I thought Muay Thai kickboxing. That's okay. I guess that's what it is.
Yeah,
You're
so
just
that's
adding.
the problem, is we lump them in together.
Yeah.
One, for the sake of people, because you don't want to explain it every time.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah. So you say like, yeah, it's like kickboxing, and like when I was coming up before, it even anyone knew about it. When people would ask you what you do, you'd say Muay Thai, and nobody knows what that is. You say it's like kickboxing, but every time I said that, it felt like someone was ripping my soul out because they're not the same. And again, I'm not going to say like, oh, Muay Thai is better and kickboxing is dumb, but they're different. And to say you do one thing that's not to me, it feels like I'm lying to you. Like, that's not what I do. That's not
Mm,
what I do at all.
right.
And but it's also easier than trying to explain that to somebody on the subway and like, I don't feel like explaining this shit to you. I'm like, go look it up.
Yeah. Right. Just go Google it.
Go
Yeah.
look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, and people interchange those words as if they're the same thing. So a lot of people say I do Muay Thai kickboxing, or you'll hear announcers say he's a Muay Thai kickboxer, but
Mm,
they're not the same. They're totally different, and we should keep them separate because they are different, and they're both have their qualities, and they're good and they're bad, and to jumble them together is, I think, not a positive thing for either.
right. The going to because I found out that Coach K, Kyrian,
Uh-huh.
I found that he coached you at one point. I listened to a recent interview with him. I was being random looking him up, and I heard he coached you. I was like, what? I was like, wait, I didn't. Again, just like these things, because I'm a noob, and I don't know. I'm just curious, like your experience training there. Like I don't know how long ago you trained there at CSA gym. Like how was it for you? And are you still you're not training there now, are you? I don't know.
No, I moved like 2 years ago.
Okay.
I was up there for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So the majority of my career, I started in Vegas, and that's where I was for like, geez, 10, 12 years of my fighting
Right.
career. So in 2012, I think is when I blew my knee out. Right after I fought Sakadao, and when I was preparing for my next fight, I blew my knee out. Um, and prior to that, I had been contemplating. I mean, I hate Vegas with a passion, and I always hated Vegas. But the problem was is once I started training, I was like, oh, I guess I'm stuck here until I'm done because there's just nowhere else to go. You know, there was definitely nowhere in the States that was, I don't want to say that was any good, but not good enough to make me want to leave
Right.
Vegas, you know, and the only other option was moving overseas, and I wasn't going to do that. So I was like, I guess I'm stuck in Vegas until I'm done fighting. Um, but then over kind of the years, I had gone up there a few times. Kieran brought me out to um, help out Nick and Nate Diaz and Jake Shields when they were fighting some stand-up guys. You know, he'd bring me in to spar with them because he has a relationship with Cesar Gracie,
Hmm.
and that's how I first went out there. So the first three times I went out there was to help them get ready for their fights. I'd never I never trained at that gym until I moved up there.
Right.
I knew all of them, of course, and you know we'd been around each other for a long time, but I never trained with any of them. I never trained with him for certain. But yeah, I just went up there, sparred with those guys, and then when I was up there, I visited the gym, and I was like, oh, this place is cool, man. I really like the vibe and all of the people and everything, and he started bringing me out. Like I went up there to help Gaston out after he had a couple of losses in the amateurs, and you know he was still a little baby, and
Hmm.
I went up there and kind of help him out, and you know just had me talk to him just about fighting and life and stuff, and worked with him and tried to help him get his confidence back, and he ended up knocking his dude out, and he brought me up there once to do a seminar, and so I just started coming up there more and more, and he was always dropping hints about me moving out there. You know, he's just like, oh, you know, it's nice out here, and you know, I think you'd really like it. And you know, he's never really pushing the issue. I think he understood like kind of where I was at and how I felt about Vegas and stuff, and you know, just started at thinking about it. You know, I was like, maybe I could. You know, the issue I had was in Vegas, I had almost an infinite amount of training partners. You know, like so many people to train with. Yeah, and a lot of them were MMA guys, but high level, like in the UFC and Pride and everything. And you know, a lot of my original training partners were still there, and my pad holder and stuff. I was like, I can't leave here, man. Like I'm literally leaving so much behind. But it just kind of got to that point where I needed a change, man, and especially after I blew my knee out,
Hmm.
I was like, I got to get out of it, like, because Vegas was always just a toxic place for me, you know, coming up the way I did and being an alcoholic and stuff, and you know, it was like a constant state of fighting against that. You're surrounded by this lifestyle that you're trying to avoid and that you're drawn to, and it's a bombardment of just a daily thing in your face, on the cabs, on the billboards, in the casinos. Like you can't get away from it, you know.
Right.
And for most people it's probably not that detrimental, but for someone like me who has those kinds of issues, um, you know, it's like a person that's trying to lose weight and they got ice cream in their face 24 hours a day. Like, yeah, they might not eat it, but every day you're fighting that, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
that shit weighs on you, man.
Yeah.
You know, after I blew my knee out, I was like, I just can't. There's no way I'm gonna recover here. I have to get out of here. Even if I never fight again, I just have to get out of here. And so really, I knew that moving up there might have been the end of my career, but for me, I looked at it as every other aspect of my life. I was like, there's nothing positive here other than fighting for me. You know, like that's it. I'm like, life in general. Like I can't live here. It's not healthy. I lived in Vegas for like 25 years. Um, and yeah, so I moved up there, and it was such a huge gamble, but I knew nothing positive was going to come from me staying in Vegas anymore. I just there was nothing left for me there.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and so I moved up there, and I rehabbed my knee, and started working with him, and kind of just grew and developed from there. Carrion's he's an amazing coach, and he he was the one thing that I never had. After I left Toddy's, basically I was doing everything on my own. I didn't have a coach that was watching out for me. I had training partners, I had pad holders, but I didn't have a coach anymore, and that was something I was missing through all of my like most pivotal fights, Sanchez, Sakadao, Chike. I didn't have a coach during all of those fights.
Hmm.
I had to do all that on my own. I had to piece all these things together. I was my own manager. I was my own coach. I was all of these things, and even though I had all the other aspects of training partners and um, pad holders and things like that, I just never had anybody looking out for me.
Right.
I had to look out for myself. So I just got to the point when I was willing to sacrifice one for the other, and that's what I did. And like I said, Kieran he has a really good concept of every area of fighting, whether that be Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, jiu-jitsu. He has a little bit of knowledge of everything.
Hmm.
He's not he doesn't have like one specific skill set, which there's good and bad to that. There's I think it's important to have a good understanding of everything, but when you need that specific coach on, like a Thai coach, it's good to have an expert in Muay Thai. And not to knock him, but he's not that. He has a really good he's really good at a lot of different things.
Right.
And I think me going there helped bring some legitimacy to their kind of Muay Thai side. It helped amplify that, and get them a little more, help them develop. And a lot of the guys and girls were able to get better with my added. I was able to add more knowledge, um, specific Muay Thai knowledge to their gym, and it was a mutual beneficial kind of relationship.
Right.
I think that we both got just as much out of each other, and yeah, we were able to get the line fight title, and do a lot of really good things. But eventually that just kind of it was time. It was time for a change. It was time for something new, and I'd always planned on ending up in Southern California. I didn't plan on being here till I was done fighting, but just through time and changes and being at this stage in my career, it was just time for something new. So we still have a good relationship. I just don't train there anymore. We're cool. We didn't have a falling out or anything like that. And as I said, he's an amazing coach, and people are very blessed to get to work with him and have someone watching out for him like he does.
Cool, man. And so today, you're still looking to fight? Whenever I don't know what's going on with your recent thing. You said that
Yeah,
it
so
got canceled.
I was supposed to fight April 16th in Amsterdam. That was for Bellator. That was going to be their first show
It-
in Amsterdam, but that got bumped. And right now, I don't know.
Okay.
Um,
So
so
you're waiting on that.
I'm stuck in limbo right now, man. And I'm hoping that um, maybe they'll be able to get me on another card somewhere. I mean, that's really the good thing. My relationship with Scott Coker and Bellator, they're they're really flexible with and open to me fighting for other people, depending as long
Right.
as it's not a competition kind of thing. So it'll just depend on what's available and as well as when their next show is going to be. You know, if it's not too far down the road, yeah, I'll wait. Um, or if it is and I don't have a choice, then at least I can kind of use that time um, in a positive way instead of just stuck in the middle,
Right. Right.
which is unfortunately what tends to be the majority of the time is you're always stuck in the middle because you never know when the next one is, and you certainly don't know when the one is after that. And this has been, you know, 17 years of this. I thought it would change one day, but it never has. And even after signing with a company like Bellator, it's still the same. You know,
Yeah.
you just don't know. You don't know. But that's that's the unfortunate side of kickboxing and Muay Thai being in its infancy stage here in the States, where other countries it's not not as much, even though it is in comparison to like Thailand, of course. But
Yeah.
we are at the bottom of the barrel as
Yeah.
far as promotions and high level fighters goes.
Yeah. I really want Muay Thai to blow up, man. Somehow. I don't know how, but I'm trying to do my best to promote it out here in the urban community or the ghetto, whatever.
Yeah,
Because I had no idea what this was when I was a kid, man. So I'm just trying to put it out there for these kids out here. Have all
uh-huh.
these crazy, I was actually trying to hold pads for these kids because I have a bunch of kids out here. They're bad kids, and I was
Yeah,
trying to give them something to do, and I said, oh, let me teach them a little bit of some, Muay Thai. Just give it a little bit,
yeah,
and yeah. Again, I have a long journey for myself, but I'm hoping that what you're trying to do is going to, expand out to to bring Muay Thai out, bring Muay Thai. I'm losing my words, but bring Muay Thai out in the world more to other people. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
whatever it is.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, I just found out about you recently, whatever. I don't know how long ago, but I want to now. I want to watch all your fights. I'm like enthusiastic about it, and I feel like all these other
yeah,
people are gonna do the same thing. They're gonna find out about you, and it's gonna be the same thing.
yeah.
But
Yeah, man, we're all everybody's doing their part
right,
and trying to get it in the right direction. I try to say, no matter how big or small it is, every piece is important,
yes,
because it's all of us together. It's not one person doing it, not at
yeah,
all. And the majority of it is people that you're never going to hear or know about.
right,
And that's just you know, that's what's got to happen.
right. And again, like you said earlier, no one knows what no one knows shit, and we're just all
No one
trying to
knows
figure out.
shit.
Yeah, we're all just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to do my best to fucking do what I can to help out, man. Uh, but yeah, that wraps up with all my questions I have for you, man. I really appreciate your time that you put on for the show, and I really hope all the best for you, dude. And I really admire you and the words that from here, the words you put on this show and the words you put on anywhere else. You know what I mean? Like people like you. I love people like you that are speaking up. You know what I mean? That are being honest and open. And I'm thankful for you, man. I'm thankful that you're here doing your thing. And I don't know you. I know I don't like know you personally, but I just feel like spiritually, whatever the word is, I feel like
Yeah.
uh, it's people like us that I just value people like you, basically. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't know what else to
I feel
say.
you, man. I
Yeah,
feel the same way too, and I appreciate you having this platform in order to have this conversation.
right. I'm still learning. I'm trying my best, man.
Yeah. No, you're good, man. You're good, man. For sure. There's a lot of bad stuff out there, man. You're not on that end, so
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah,
good.
that's true. All right, man. Anything you want to mention before we wrap this up?
Ah, man, people can always find me on my website, which is thesoulasssassin.com. All my social media and stuff is pretty easy to find. So yeah, check me out. Check out my stuff if you want. I don't like to ever be a salesman, man, but I try to put good stuff out there that people like and will get some benefit from. So if you think that's what it is, pick it up.
Yeah. Cool, man. Anything I could do to help you, man. I'm just trying my best to reach out to fighters and to martial artists and to people like you that are just trying to reach out to other people. Uh, Anything I could do to fucking help, I'm just doing my best. So,
I appreciate you, man.
yeah, man. All the power to you, dude, and I hope the best for you, man. And thank you
All right.
again for giving me your
Likewise,
time.
man. Likewise. Thank you.
All right, you have a good night, man.
All right. Likewise.
All right, all right, all right. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I really appreciated Kevin Ross for giving me or sharing his time with me. Really awesome dude to speak with. Things got a little slow towards the end. I don't know if he was getting tired or if I was getting tired or for the people watching the video, you can see that the night was coming up and he started to look like I forget his name, but the guy that plays the Punisher, the recent one, the one that is the guy, I forget his fucking name, the dude from Walking Dead. He started to look like him and I was getting distracted by that too. Fucking awesome. Anyway, I really enjoyed this recording, and I really hope you guys enjoy it as well. And yeah, if you loved this episode or liked it or whatever, please feel free to share it or whatever, or you can go ahead and leave a review on the Apple Podcast or iTunes Store, whatever the app store. I don't fucking know where it's at. It's somewhere over there in Apple. Apple has the thing, you can review it. Feel free. Leave whatever stars. 3, 4, 5. Come on, don't leave me a 1, dog. That's drawing. Anyway, yeah, I appreciate you guys listening, and I'm looking forward to keep the shit up. And please be safe out there. This is recorded with the coronavirus like expanding and fucking shit up. So I'm hoping that everyone plays it safe. Let's use our common sense and follow what the CDC is saying. Stop misbehaving or whatever the fuck it is that's going to lead us to being ignorant. All right, guys. Till next time. Peace.